What is up, my Pixel Party, and welcome to the third episode of our Let's 100 Pokémon Insurgence. Now, I don't know if you can hear this, but my voice is not quite there today. I have been sick for the past few days, which is also why I have not been recording. And I will probably try not to talk as much today. So let's get straight into it. I will try to complete this route, Route 1, including some side area and maybe even the main town today. Okay, let's head straight into it and start with our first Reddit story as well. Here we go.
My boss demanded I delete my own daughter from the company health plan to prove loyalty, so I did, and now he's begging me from a jail cell. I was the quiet IT manager at Helix Corp, the one who fixed the CEO's laptop at 3 a.m. without overtime pay. Mr. Harlan Boss, Harvard Ring, private helicopter, zero empathy, called me into his glass penthouse office on a Tuesday. My 6-year-old daughter, Mia, had just been diagnosed with leukemia. The treatment? $1.2 million, barely covered by our elite company insurance. Harlan slid a termination letter across the desk. Your kid's draining the plan. Remove her as a dependent by midnight, or you're both gone. Loyalty test, son. I stared at the paper. Mia was asleep in the hospital, clutching the unicorn I'd bought with my last bonus. I asked for 24 hours. He smirked, clocks ticking. That night, I didn't sleep. I logged into the admin portal, the one only 3 people on Earth could access. Instead of deleting Mia, I duplicated every executive's family member into a hidden audit trail. Then I removed Harlan's wife and 2 kids from the plan, timestamped it as his login. He'd bragged about using password 123 on a golf trip, and triggered an auto report to the board's fraud inbox. By morning, the building was chaos. Harlan stormed in, face purple, screaming my name. Security escorted him out in cuffs, embezzlement, insurance fraud, tax evasion. The duplicated files showed he'd been siphoning premiums for years to fund his yacht. The board begged me to stay. I negotiated full coverage for Mia, a $3 million settlement, and Harlan's corner office for my new nonprofit coding academy for sick kids. Mia's first chemo session? Paid in full, with a private room overlooking the park. 3 months later, I visited Harlan in county jail foreclosure. He looked small and orange, clutching a photo of his own daughter, now on Medicaid because his assets were frozen. You ruined me, he whispered. I slid Mia's latest scan across the table, cancer-free. No, I said. You taught me loyalty goes both ways. I walked out as the guards locked the gate behind me. Somewhere, a helicopter sat grounded. And in the children's ward, a little girl with a unicorn was learning to code.
I love that story. I love the story. At the first place, if you're at a company where the boss doesn't want your family in the healthcare plan, not a good company and doomed to fail. But I love these types of revenge stories. It was a short one, but I did like it. Let's get into the next one.
AITA for the rules I have in place for my ex's family to see our kids. I, 28F, have 2 young kids.
Small boss. It said AITA. It means am I the asshole? Sorry again.
AITA for the rules I have in place for my ex's family to see our kids. I, 28F, have 2 young kids with my ex, 30M. We broke up after the birth of our second child. We co-parented pretty well for a couple of years, and then he got a girlfriend and started acting differently. Previously, he had talked about being open with each other about any major changes, and then he didn't tell me he was seeing someone or that she moved in with him. My eldest mentioned her though, and he was not very positive about her, which concerned me because my kids were good at warming up to new people who were nice to them. I asked my ex if it was true that he was living with someone, and he got defensive and told me it was none of my business who he lived with. I told him it was a pretty major development to not mention, considering he was the one who suggested we communicate about that. His mom reached out to me because she also found it weird, and they were told little about this woman too. She didn't know her name, so I did a background check with a weird feeling about the whole thing, and I found out she had a criminal record for abusing children. This was more than a one-off too. There were several charges, and she was convicted 4 separate times. I brought this up to my ex, who told me I had no business digging into his girlfriend, and he started verbally abusing me. His mom was horrified to learn about the girlfriend's record though. I went to my attorney, who advised me on the steps to remove my children from my ex's home. I now have full custody of our kids. He's allowed visitation without his girlfriend at a specific center, but he hasn't actually seen the children since custody changed because he brings his girlfriend every time. His mom was very supportive, and I have always welcomed her and the rest of X's family to see the kids with some rules. Mainly that they don't bring up X and how much he loves the kids to them, because some of his relatives would do that because they didn't want the kids to think he chose a woman over them. But he has, and I don't want them to be told otherwise. I also don't want any of this rubbed in their faces. The other rule is no taking them gifts from X, because if he refuses to be involved in his kids' lives, he does not get to bribe them. Their therapist agrees with this, because she said it can be used to manipulate them, and there's a danger involved because of this woman's record. X's mom and his family agreed to the rules. But now a couple of X's siblings have spoken up and said it's unfair because he's still the kid's dad and they should know he loves them. His mom agrees with me, and she said he doesn't deserve lies on his behalf when he made his choice. The siblings pushed back and said I am risking depriving my children of familial relationships when all some of them want to do is let the kids know their dad loves them. They said I should be encouraging these relationships instead of laying down unfair rules. AITA?
I don't think you are the asshole here. Mostly because she has a criminal record of abusing kids. The ex-husband knows that. Ain't no way that you're the asshole for not allowing her within the vicinity of your children. At this point, that's just common sense, and apparently your ex does not have common sense. But okay. So far we are almost done with this route. There's one more Pokemon to catch, but I'm quickly gonna go to this town, go on ahead, and grab some more Pokeballs. Also, a Bulbasaur evolved. Okay. I am going to put on the next one.
That time I accidentally joined a random family's barbecue and didn't realize for 40 minutes. A few summers ago, my friend Federico texted me saying his family was having a casual barbecue at the park near the lake. I was tired from work but thought, hey, Coke, son, burgers, why not? I arrive, and immediately I'm greeted by music, laughter, and the smell of grilled meat. People are tossing frisbees, kids are running around with popsicles, and a golden retriever is chasing its own tail. Someone waves at me and hands me a Coke, saying, "Glad you made it, buddy." I take it, thinking, wow, Federico's family really knows how to treat friends. I start helping flip burgers on the grill, chatting with a man who keeps giving me tips like I've done this 100 times before. An older lady keeps calling me sweetheart and asking me about my job. I'm nodding, laughing, and trying to look like I belong. Everything feels super normal. I even help set up some chairs and hand out napkins. After like 20 minutes, a little girl hands me a plate of food and says, "You're my favorite new uncle." I chuckle awkwardly and play along. I'm genuinely starting to enjoy myself. Then Federico texts me, "Where are you?" I glance at my phone and panic a little. I'm literally at the barbecue, what's he talking about? I respond, "At the park by the lake, chilling with your family." Federico replies, "Bro, we're literally at the next picnic table over." I freeze. I look around. Everyone's smiling at me, waving, inviting me to try the potato salad. Then it hits me, I have no idea who these people are. The kids, the adults, the lady calling me sweetheart, they're not Jake's family. I'm at a completely different family's barbecue. I try to apologize, guys. I think I'm at the wrong. And suddenly the group bursts out laughing. Wrong? Nah, you fit the vibe. Stay, one of the dads says. So, for the next 20 minutes, I awkwardly explain my actual friend's location while still participating in their picnic, tossing a frisbee, helping with the grill, and somehow becoming the star of their little potato salad eating contest. The kids were convinced I was the fun uncle everyone wishes they had. Eventually, I make my way over to Federico's actual barbecue, exhausted, covered in sweat and a little mustard from the wrong grill, and he just stares at me. "Where the hell have you been?" I tell him the story. He laughs so hard he almost falls off his chair. Every time I see Federico now, he just goes, "Remember the time you were kidnapped by strangers at a barbecue?" And the best part? I still occasionally get tagged in photos from the other family's annual picnic. They remember me as the accidental guest who showed up, helped with the grill, and stayed like he was supposed to be there. From that day on, my friends call me the Barbecue Bandit. And honestly, I wear that title proudly.
It's a fun story. It's a fun, small story. I like that one. We have actually completed this route. We are currently in this cave, collecting our Pokemon. There is an exit to the cave. However, there's currently not anything we can do there. Besides, check out a hidden grotto. More so because we could grab things for chance. Not really worth going there, but the Dark Cave we can semi-finish. There's, of course, a surf spot and even a dive spot here, but for now, catching Pokemon here is all we can do. I will, of course, be returning later for the rest. For now, here is another story. This is a longer one, finally.
AITA for not agreeing to 50-50 when my ex changes homes, girlfriends, and custody requests more than my toddler changes socks. Okay, Reddit, buckle up. Because my life feels like an episode of Jerry Springer written by a child psychologist having a nervous breakdown. I, 34, share a son with my ex, 30M. Our son turns 3 next month, and the only stable thing in his little life has been me. I've lived in the same home for over 2 years, now moving literally down the street for a better yard. Meanwhile, my ex has moved 7 times in under 3 years. 7. Like, 1 move for every Harry Potter book. Here's the highlight reel. Round pushpin the pregnancy phase. AK, sir, you cannot be serious. While I was pregnant, he abandoned me. Stole $3,000 from me. I had to relocate 2 months postpartum because I literally had no support and he was off living his best life. The first time he visited after I moved, he bought liquor, got drunk, passed out, and our son was 3 months old. Roses are red, violets are blue. If your baby daddy falls asleep drunk during a visit, run. Round pushpin the relocation ERA, a trilogy. My ex has moved every time he dates someone. I am not exaggerating. Girlfriend number 1, he lived 6 hours away. Break up, move, start having new girl in our son's life. Break up, he moved 2.5 hours away. Dates his current girlfriend, but they break up, she kicks him out. Loneliness, he moved to my town for a few months. Co-parenting was amazing during this rare, stable period. Girlfriend number 2 enters the chat. He moves 2.5 hours away again to where she lives. He told me she was begging him to move back. And before anyone comes at me with the textbook, "You're jealous of his girlfriend" nonsense, let me stop you right there. This isn't jealousy. This is math. My ex has brought 3 different girlfriends into my toddler's life, 3, and our kid isn't even 3 yet. That's a new woman every year, like some kind of seasonal Amazon subscription. And here's what people who don't deal with high-conflict co-parents don't understand. Temporary girlfriends do not get permanent opinions. They don't get to encourage him on what custody to fight for, they don't get to weigh in on what's fair, and they definitely don't get to whisper strategies in his ear about taking my kid from me. This woman is not stepmom material. She's not even met me yet material. She sits in the car at exchanges with her head down like she's in witness protection. And yet somehow she's helping plan custody? It's not jealousy. It's insanity. If I was in her life making opinions about her kids, all hell would break loose. But when it's my kid, suddenly everyone thinks I should just be chill. No, I'm not going to be chill. This woman has known my son for about 5 minutes and thinks she's in the UFC corner telling my ex how to win the custody fight. It's ridiculous. Being a mother doesn't mean I'm insecure. It means I take my son's stability seriously. And stability does not look like random girlfriends encouraging my ex to ask for sole custody, then ask for 50-50, then threaten mediation, then refuse mediation, then ask for temporary 50-50, then text me asking again for 50-50, all while living wherever his relationship leads him. If anything, the only jealousy here is him being jealous of the stability I actually provide. Pushpin, I'm not jealous of his girlfriends. I'm tired of people who aren't real parents thinking they get a say in my child's life. That's not jealousy. That's boundaries. That's parenting. That's sanity. Round Pushpin the court ERA. Sir, pick a lane. We went to mediation. He wanted 50-50ths. I said no because our son is nearly 3. We live 2.5 hours apart. Early learning requires consistent attendance. Toddlers don't thrive with 2-week blocks. He has never had stable housing. Our son already struggles with transitions. So what does he do? We go to mediation. He demands 50-50, even threatens if I don't agree, he will take everything he can. I cried. The mediator said he can say that. I didn't know threats were okay for mediation. I say no to 50-50 after being threatened, so he files for sole custody. Then files asking for temporary 50-50, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Then texts me asking if I'll agree to 50-50 privately. My dude is switching custody requests like he's flipping channels looking for something good on TV. The judge literally said, "You're asking for sole custody." I'm not granting 50-50 because that's not even what you're asking for. My ex is out here submitting legal paperwork like it's a Build-A-Bear. Round Pushpin the infamous early learning comment. When I said early learning requires stability and consistency, he responded, "Early learning isn't important if it interrupts father time." This is the same man whose proposal would leave me with 27% custody, while the plan I proposed, Thursday through Sunday every other week plus holidays plus summers, gives him around 33% more than the original order. My plan equals more stability plus more total time for dad. His plan equals less stability plus less time for me. And yet somehow I'm the problem? Round Pushpin the actual issue. I feel like he is playing spin the bottle, but instead of kissing someone, the winner is whichever custody arrangement makes him feel in control that day. It also feels manipulative to go, "Black circle, if you don't give me 50-50, I'll go for everything." Black circle then suddenly, "Actually, I should have sole custody because your son would get more attention at MY home because you have more than one child." Black circle then asking for temporary 50-50, which directly contradicts his own paperwork. Black circle then DMing me asking again if I want 50-50. Like a custody Groupon, he's trying to get me to click. How am I supposed to co-parent when every week he changes what he wants and threatens different outcomes depending on whether I agree with him? This isn't compromising. This is pressuring, flipping, threatening, contradicting, and confusing, and it trickles down to our toddler, who already struggles deeply with transitions. To me, It seems he's genuinely manipulating the court and me to try to get his way, and is asking for different things to out of. But I see how dysregulated our toddler comes home. I see how hard transitions are for him. I see what consistency does. I see what instability from the other parent does. I see that 2 weeks on / 2 weeks off across a 2.5-hour distance is developmentally inappropriate for a 3-year-old. And someone is going to be the primary custodial parent once school starts anyway. Why drag this out and confuse our child even more? I am not operating from bitterness. I am operating from, please, for the love of God, can this toddler have one stable environment? So, AITA for refusing long-distance 50-50 for a toddler when his father's lifestyle is basically a traveling circus powered by girlfriends, U-Hauls, and sudden personality shifts?
Long story short, no, you're not the asshole. Wow. That was one hell of a story. Yeah, no, you're not the asshole. Definitely not. He has not a shred of stability in his life. Wow. In any case, in case you haven't noticed, I am training up my Weedle to evolve him all the way into a Beedrill so I can trade him away for an Elekid. Because I do believe this is the only place we're going to be able to get an Elekid. So yeah. I am training him up to evolve and then I'm going to trade him away. I'm not going to be able to use a Beedrill anyway, even if he Mega Evolves, because it's not a custom Mega. So I might as well trade him away. I've got the Pokédex entry, so I can just trade him away. But yeah, no, after that, after getting the Elekid, that should be everything in Midnight Town outside, of course, the story. I will be battling this trainer real quick. I use a word attack here. Okay, I did not notice how much damage that did. Okay. I'm probably gonna white out. Oh well, that's gonna give me a good chance to do a bit of story at the very least. Really? That didn't kill? I thought it would. Like, I get that's not staff, but still. More than 3 times the... Okay. But I'm still hurt by Fire Spin and all that. Yep, there it is. Okay, I think we can do a bit of story, because the only story right now, before we actually have to head into the cave, is right here. Where is that girl? Where could she have gone off to now? We can't start without her. That is actually all we need from here, outside of course this funny little premiere ball. Also, hello Damien. We didn't really need to talk to him, but might as well. Oh Pixel, I'm so glad you made it. Hey, you should participate in the tournament. It'll be a great way to improve our skills. Why hello there, welcome to Minotaur Trainer School. I'm the teacher. I'm hoping to raise young boys and girls to become expert battlers and even better citizens. Yeah, I don't really care about this character. If you take classes here, I'll be happy to teach you what I know. Would you like me to sign you up? Yeah, sure. Great, I'll be glad to teach you. We're actually just about to start a tournament between our students. If you want to join, it will be a great way to practice and improve. Unfortunately, one of our students, Nora, seems to have gone missing. We can't start a tournament without her, so I'm afraid you'll have to wait. Yeah, that entire conversation was not even necessary. We could have just walked in and instantly walked out again. Yeah, no, for now, I actually don't know why I instantly went into this again without changing out of the Kakuna. Because I'm pretty sure, besides the Soul Rock, he also has a Lunatone. Okay. Okay. But I live. Yes, okay, that should evolve into a Beedrill. I'll use Super Potion. Actually, what am I doing? I should have just used Leech Seed. There we go. I have Leech Seed for a reason. Yes, there we go. Okay, what I think I'll do for this episode is I'll finish this episode by clearing out this cave. Yeah. This cave, one Pokemon to catch, defeating all trainers. I will not continue with the story. I'll finish the episode by trading this Beedrill away for the Elekid. For now, let me continue on with this Reddit story.
AITA for reporting my child's father and girlfriend to CPS. My 5-year-old daughter confided in me that her father's girlfriend tried to kill her. She asked me if I wanted to know why she doesn't want to go to dad's anymore. She tells me she doesn't want to go all the time, but never why. So I obviously said, yes, you can tell mommy anything. She proceeds to say her father's girlfriend tried to kill her by twisting her limbs to hurt her, then put her between a bed and a wall and pushed the bed up against her, and that her dad was home in another room and did not help her. She also just so happened to come home from her dad's with a bruise on her side that week. I immediately contact her father and questioned him about why our daughter is saying these things. He has no explanation other than immediately going to calling our child a liar and saying she needs therapy and that I am just creating drama. I told him no, she is not a liar, she is only 5, and I completely believe her, and I will not disregard safety concerns of my child to protect his feelings. I told him I am calling CPS because this is not something I can just let go. It is a very serious claim for a young child to make. After contacting CPS, he proceeds to text me in complete shock that I actually contacted CPS. I told him I said I was going to, so what did you expect? As a parent, it's my responsibility to protect my child, and his nor anyone else's feelings will ever come before my child's safety. I took my daughter to the hospital for an evaluation. She told the care team that dad's girlfriend has been hurting her and dad did not save her. We also met with our CPS caseworker, and she told him the same thing. We have now been referred to a child abuse center for further investigation. Ever since, her father has been extremely hostile towards me, telling me not to contact him unless it's through CPS because I am supposedly making false claims and that I can't communicate or co-parent effectively, even though things have been completely fine between us until this incident. I even changed our court-ordered parenting time so that he will only have her on his days off of work because he did not want to leave her with his girlfriend anymore, thinking face triangular flag. Note, I barely know his GF. She refuses to show her face to me, won't speak to me, or even help with drop-off and pickups. Whereas my BF is the complete opposite. He always respectfully interacts with my child's father, engages in conversation with him, and always willing to help out with drop-off and pickups. So how does he expect me to believe and trust in this woman I barely know? I haven't even seen her in a year. That's how much she completely avoids me when I have never given her any reason to. To me, it gives guilt. So ATA for trying to protect my child? Am I just creating drama like he says? Should I believe a woman that hasn't even shown her face to me in a year? Side note, I know I would have to be insane not to report this. I did immediately report it, and it's under investigation and pending court hearings. This was mostly for me to vent, and honestly, if you ever experience being constantly gaslit by someone, you'd understand why I needed a little validation and support. I super appreciate everyone's input and kind comments. I will update on the case when more is to come.
And unfortunately, there's no update yet. Very unfortunately. In any case, not the asshole. Your child's safety was at stake, not the asshole. In no way, shape, or form could you ever be the asshole. Wow. Really? You lived that? Okay. Sure. Ew, crits. I don't like crits. That, however, I do like. Nope, I don't need Dex Nav. I already got every Pokemon here, I believe. Okay, I think there's one more battle. Maybe two. And then I'll go trade for the Elekid. I think there's one more story I have. Yes.
Thought we were going on a simple hike, ended up lost in the forest for hours. Last weekend, my friend Marco and I decided to go on a quick hike just outside the city. We had backpacks, water, granola bars, and a map. We barely looked at the usual overconfident setup. I was thinking, how lost could we possibly get? The first hour was perfect. Sun shining, birds chirping, little squirrels darting around. We were joking about how amazing we were at outdoor adventures. Then Marco spots a side path that looks less traveled and immediately points it out. This is way cooler. More adventure, he says, eyes sparkling with mischief. I hesitate for a second, but his enthusiasm is contagious, so we follow it. 15 minutes in, things start getting weird. The path gets narrower, tree branches scrape our arms, and the ground turns into mud. Marco tries to make a heroic jump over a fallen log, lands with a splash in a tiny puddle, and nearly slides down a slope. I'm laughing so hard I almost fall after him. We continue, trying to joke about it being an epic survival expedition. Then it starts raining lightly, just enough to make leaves slippery. I try to take a picture of the forest for Instagram, but my phone slips out of my hand, bounces off a rock, and lands in the mud. Marco laughs so hard he can barely hold himself upright. An hour later, we realize something terrifying. We have no idea where we are. Every tree looks the same, the trail is gone, and our map feels like ancient hieroglyphics. We try retracing our steps, but end up in a small clearing where I swear I see a deer staring at us like it knows we're idiots. Marco whispers, if it charges, just run. Things get progressively worse and funnier. I try stepping over a log and twist my ankle slightly. I scream like a cartoon character. Marco tries to help, trips, and smacks into a bush, sending a cloud of bugs into his hair. At this point, we're both covered in mud, leaves, and sweat, looking like forest zombies. We start joking about survival. Okay, I say, if we die out here, make sure people know I went down heroically, tripping over a bush. Marco laughs so hard he falls into a shallow stream, soaking his shoes and pants. I try to help him out, but I slip too, and we both end up sitting in the mud, drenched, laughing until our sides hurt. Hours pass. We're low on snacks, and I swear every tree is identical. Then, in a moment of pure luck, or divine intervention, we hear voices. A group of local hikers notices us, probably tracking our muddy chaos from earlier footprints, and guides us back to the main trail. They're laughing at our ragged, soaked, completely ridiculous appearance. By the time we reach the parking lot, it's sunset. Our backpacks are filthy, our clothes ruined, and our shoes squelchy with mud. But we're grinning ear to ear, recounting every disaster: the mud puddle jump, the bug attack, the falling into streams, the deer stare. Every wrong turn is a new story. We stop at a burger joint on the way home, still laughing, covered in mud, and order the biggest meals they have. People stare, probably wondering if we survived a forest apocalypse. And honestly, in our minds, we did. We survived the Great Forest Disaster of 2025, with only our egos slightly bruised.
That's a fun story. That's a very fun story. And a good way to end it as a last story. It's not a very heavy story like most of them. I did trade for the Ellicott already, but there's one more thing I want to do. If you go to any TV in the region, you can encounter a Rodon. Now, I wanted to do this earlier, but I actually forgot that this was a thing. So, now Rodon is this high of a level, because normally Rodon takes the level of your highest Pokemon in your team. So that's a bit unfortunate that he just keeps getting stronger and stronger. But we still need to catch him, and might as well do that now. That was, however, the last Reddit story. There we go, and we got the Rodon. So that means I am gonna end the episode here. Thank you so much for watching. And also thank you to, again, Raven White for commenting on the last story. It's funny to see how some people have no sense of guilt or awareness. They cheat, the significant other finds out, and the cheater pretends like nothing happened. Yes, that is unfortunately largely the case in these Reddit stories. It makes for a funny story, and also usually how they learn to regret it. Or, well, don't learn. But it's always funny to see. And also thank the Shadow Wolf for commenting, will you be getting a new mic? Yes, I will. Once I have the money. Which is not now. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and listening to these Reddit stories and watching me struggle through this game. Please like, subscribe, do anything you see fit. If you comment, I of course will read the comments in the next episode. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.